What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Poke Office. My name is Colin. Right now, we're in the midst of when Pokemon just feels like it's going full steam ahead. We just had Shrouded Fable come out. Stellar Crown comes out in a month. Then we have Surging Spark coming out in November. Rumors, and I don't even think they're rumors anymore, of the Eevee set coming out early in 2025. Then we have a Team Rocket set. There's like that Dragon Paradise set, which I think is going to be involved in the Surging Spark. But it just feels like so much, like Pokemon is throwing so much at us right now. So it begs the question, what is the best set, and how is Pokemon going to move forward with Scarlet and Violet era? Because I think we'd all say, if we look back to Sword and Shield era wasn't that good at the start. Like, you have Sword and Shield base, Rebel Clash, aka Rebel Trash, Darkness Ablaze was no one's favorite whatsoever, and then we had Vivid Voltage. I don't think Vivid Voltage is a great set either. Of course, it has the Rainbow Pikachu. And then Battle Styles is where it kind of started, like, hey, here's some alternate artworks. These are kind of cool. And then, of course, we all know Chilling Reign, Evolving Skies, Fusion Strike, the list goes on. And then it starts with Brilliant Stars with the Trainer Gallery. Like, Sword and Shield back half is so good. That's why people love it so much. Whereas if we look at Scarlet and Violet era, like, Scarlet and Violet era starting out has been absolutely spectacular, in my opinion. Scarlet and Violet base set, really underrated. I'm not saying it's a great set by any means, but lots of really cool illustration rares. Actually, some really cool special illustration rares as well, with like the Koraidon, the Miraidon. So lots to like there, especially for a base set. Then we have Paldea Evolved, which arguably, as I was kind of preparing for this video, looking at what other YouTubers have said about best sets of the Scarlet and Violet era, Paldea Evolved is definitely up there. And in the comment sections as well, Paldea Evolved is way up there. Like, you have the Magikarp illustration rare, which is one of the most chased after cards in Scarlet and Violet era so far. You also have the Iono special illustration rare. You have a lot of really good special illustration rares. I like the fact that you have the starter evolution lines as like that illustration rare, ending with a special illustration rare trilogy, and the new Pokemon like Qianpao, Ting-Lu, Chi-Yu. Like, there's a lot of really, really cool Pokemon and cards in Paldea Evolved. Is it the best set to invest in or to collect out of Scarlet and Violet era so far? I don't know. You're going to have to let me know down in the comments below. And while I'm speaking, giving myself a shout out, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're liking the content. Hit the like button for me and leave a comment. What do you think is the best set out of Scarlet and Violet era so far? Investing, collecting, I don't care, whatever take you have, I want to hear about it. So leave a comment down below. Okay, then we had Obsidian Flames, which I don't think anyone's going to say Obsidian Flames is the best set to invest in Scarlet and Violet era. Feels like that Darkness Ablaze where you have the Charizard chase card, but the prices have just been coming down. Arguably, Obsidian Flames is actually holding up better than it should, just because some of those cards are very playable in the TCG, like the Pidgeot, like the Charizard. So, I don't know. Obsidian Flames, meh. I don't think it's going to age that well, personally. Then, we had arguably the biggest, and I know lots of people want to have this spicy take that 151 is not going to be the best set out of Scarlet and Violet era. Lots of people think it is, though. Like, this is a set that brought so many people back into Pokemon. So many people back into Pokemon. It's already almost a year old. We haven't had a reprint yet. I think there's going to be one coming based on the information I'm hearing. But, man, 151 is already expensive. The prices of the cards have held up so well. And it's just, you're going back to Kanto region. You're going back to the nostalgia of us, like the millennials growing up with Pokemon, and I think that's always going to be popular. Always going to be popular. I love the original 151 Pokemon more than any of the new Pokemon. And I'm not saying I don't love the new Pokemon. I'm just saying always back to Gen 1 is where my heart truly lies. So 151 is definitely this big play on, is this the best set? It's got to be up there for me. But there's some other ones that we need to talk about. Paradox Rift, really good set, and maybe underrated. I actually think it's really interesting that the Groudon has actually overtaken the Roaring Moon for the top chase card in the set, which I didn't expect to happen because the Roaring Moon is actually like a really, really good card to look at, in my opinion. But you also have the Iron Valiant. You have a lot of good special illustration rares in Paradox Rift. Iron Valiant, Roaring Moon. You have the Altaria, the Garchomp, the Iron Hands. There's some good cards in the set and some really good illustration rares. This is where Pokemon is absolutely crushing it so far. I mean, we're basically halfway through Scarlet and Violet era if they follow the mainstay of like 12 main sets per era and some specialty sets per era. Arguably, they might not do that this era, but I don't know. That's just spicy take maybe. Followed by, we have Paldean Fates. And this is a hot take. I've said it before. I think Paldean Fates is going to be right beside Hidden Fates as like that specialty set that is really going to do some damage collecting and investing in the future. I just think it's such a good set. You have some really, really awesome chase cards like the Charizard and the Bubble Mew. Charizard always is a chase card for whatever reason. People just seem to love it no matter how much they print it. But you also have so many baby shinies, and they're really, really fun. The pull rates are really fun in Paldean Fates. I've argued this before, but like Hidden Fates, you have all the full arts, which are absolutely awesome. And you have some big Pokemon full arts, the Charizard, the Evolutions, all that stuff. But Paldean Fates, you have the special illustration rares of the Charizard, the Mew, the Gardevoir. I mean, even the Iono is pretty good. And then the baby shinies, which are way better than the Hidden Fates baby shinies. I think Paldean Fates is a total banger set, which you might disagree with. If you do, let me know in the comments for sure. Okay, but then we're not done yet. We have Temporal Forces, which arguably, as I was opening it up like on live stream and on the channel, I did not like Temporal Forces solely due to the fact that the pull rates were so tough. It took like... We went from Paldean Fates, which was you were getting 6 and 7 hits out of 10 packs, to Temporal Forces, which you're getting 2 to 3 hits out of 10 packs, and really hard pull rates for the hyper rares, for the special illustration rares. Some of the booster boxes were only having 2 and 3 illustration rares. Like the pull rates took a tank, and that was hard. It was hard to keep up the excitement of like, yay, another EX. You know what I mean? So Temporal Forces is so tough, and yet it has such good cards at the top. You got the Iron Crown, which I think is one of the best cards printed out of Scarlet and Violet era so far. I really, really like the card. You have the Raging Bolt, which is currently the top chase card of the set. You have the Walking Wake. I'm going to miss some of them. The Iron Leaves, Gouging Fire. I think there's some really, really great Pokemon in Temporal Forces. It was really searching through that ancient and future Pokemon aspect, which arguably is awesome, but arguably is boring as well, because I just have this sense that people are not like bought into what Scarlet and Violet era is doing, the gimmicks, if that makes sense. Like, do you actually care about the future and past, or future and ancient Pokemon? Because I think they're cool, but I don't have like this tug of my heart to go like love these Pokemon like I do with Gen 1 and Gen 2 Pokemon. Does that make sense? Anyways, Temporal Forces, some people think that it is like a top card or a top set in Scarlet and Violet era so far. I don't know if I agree. I don't know. We're going to rank them pretty quick, but I'm just sharing my thoughts here. Twilight Masquerade was next, and everyone on the interwebs thought that Twilight Masquerade was going to be an utter disaster. Like, I remember it. The YouTube channels were all Twilight Masquerade is going to suck. I kind of bought into that hype, honestly. I was like, I just don't like the mask Pokemon, the Ogrepons, and I just don't think the set has enough. And then I started opening it, and the pull rates, even though they're really tough, somehow from Temporal Forces to Twilight Masquerade, the pull rates changed from my perspective, from my experience, where I was getting like 15 and 16 hits out of a booster box, and it felt really fun. Temporal Forces did not have that fun effect opening it for me, and Twilight Masquerade totally had the fun effect. I was totally hyped on Twilight Masquerade, and I'm wearing my Card Party shirt, but that was the newest set during Card Party back in June. And man, people were loving it. I've told the story before, people were buying it off the shelves. There was barely any Twilight Masquerade to be found at the end of the weekend. Like, it was just such a fun set to open. And of course, you have that Greninja card, which is the biggest chase card out of Scarlet and Violet era so far. Like, Twilight Masquerade is a great set, and it's gonna be big moving forward. And now we just had Shrouded Fable release, and some people are calling it the worst set to release since Pokemon Go. Definitely one of the weakest specialty sets out there. I would say, here's my honest take. I don't think it's as bad as everyone is saying it is, but I don't think it's good either. Like, it's definitely a small set. Do you actually have real chase cards in the set? You could argue that the Cassiopeia is going to be a chase card, but then you have the Okidogi, the Munkidori, the Pheasantipiti, and the Pecharunt. And those just don't feel like chase cards to me. So it's hard. The illustration rares in Shrouded Fable are absolutely spectacular. The Houndoom is so good. The Horsey, the Beware, the Fracture. I'm missing some, but there's so many good illustration rares in the set. The Persian is definitely a winner there. So there's so many good sets. Which one is the best one? It's really up for debate. But let's give it an old rank on Tier Maker here. And then we got to talk about what's coming forward from Pokemon, because I think, just like Sword and Shield, here's the best take of this video right now, in my opinion. Just like Sword and Shield was so good in the back half of it, and even the middle. And I think Scarlet and Violet is right on the same trajectory. Think about it. Middle Scarlet and Violet era, we have Paldean Fates, Temporal Forces, Twilight Masquerade, and upcoming Stellar Crown. That's the middle. I think it's going to get way better. So let's get to the tier rank and see, I'll figure out my thoughts on the matter. Okay, here we are. So here's how I'm going to play this, is that S tier, I'm just ranking it based on these ones against each other, so I got to give something an S tier. I'm not entirely convinced that any Scarlet and Violet set is S tier yet, but when you're considering like ranking them against each other, then something has got to be in the top tier. So I would say like this has to go up there. Just, it's so popular. People ate it up so much, and if it gets a reprint, I don't think the reprint's going to last very long. People are going to buy this up. People tend to think that Scarlet and Violet 151 is a really good investment. Now the other ones, here's based on what my kind of like perception is of how people think. Paldea Evolved would be right up there as well. And I think Twilight Masquerade, these can change. This is like a starting point here. So this is kind of what I think. Then Temporal Forces and Paradox Rift would be probably like one step below Scarlet and Violet 151, Paldea Evolved, Twilight Masquerade. Though I know some people would put Temporal Forces up alongside Twilight Masquerade. So we could change it. Paldean Fates maybe is right there as well. Okay, next up, I don't know much about Stellar Crown, so I'm going to leave that there. Obsidian Flames is got to be like 2 steps below it. I think Scarlet and Violet base set is above it. And Shrouded Fable, like, where would you put that? Would you put it under Obsidian Flames? That's tough. Like, so here's a question for you. If we were ranking this like based on actual just how good a Pokemon set is, could we move all these down? So is this a thing? If we move all of them down, so no S tier sets yet. A tier has 151, Paldea Evolved, and Twilight Masquerade. B tier has Temporal Forces, Paradox Rift, and Paldean Fates. C tier has the base set, and D tier has Obsidian Flames and Shrouded Fable. Is that... I kind of like this, to be honest with you. And in terms of investing, I have to think that 151 is going to age really well. 151 is like right in the mix here of being S tier and A tier. I'm not 100% sure. Let me know your thoughts on this ranking, because I think this is where I would keep it. Okay? But with that being said, I just really, truly believe that Scarlet and Violet era is on a trajectory of greatness, because it has started off so strong that it's got to do well in the future. Like, I think Pokemon knows what they're doing. Illustration rares, in every set of Scarlet and Violet era. And now, remember a few months ago, there was rumors of Mega Pokemon making their return. There was a small rumor about tag team cards making a return, but I don't think that's actually true. That was a miscommunication on PokeBeach. But there is Team Rocket, for sure. Like, that's almost a guarantee. There is the Eevee set coming in early 2025. There's some new stuff coming already in 2024. Stellar Crown, Surging Spark. Man, Pokemon, I'm excited. Like, this is so good. Even if you don't like Shrouded Fable, even if you don't like Stellar Crown, even if you think that my ranking system is off, can you argue that Scarlet and Violet era is bad? No, it's so good. It is so good. Don't listen to all the hate around it, because people all throughout, ever since I've been following Pokemon and way before it, Sun and Moon era sucks. Team Up isn't that good. There's a reason they didn't print Team Up. Cosmic Eclipse, whatever, it's okay. Evolving Skies was always strong, but Chilling Reign, Fusion Strike, people were buying that up for dirt cheap because it wasn't that good, and then you realize how good it actually is. Like, this is the same. Scarlet and Violet is the same. I think I've been thinking that ever since Scarlet and Violet base set. Scarlet and Violet is truly awesome, and I think it's just going to continue getting better. So, that's it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. It wasn't really much of anything, but I guess I didn't say my top Scarlet and Violet set. Oh, that's so hard. So, it's definitely in between 151, Paldea Evolved, and Twilight Masquerade for me. Those are my top three. So, 151, you got the nostalgia up the yin-yang. Paldea Evolved, you got the best illustration rare in the Magikarp. And Twilight Masquerade, you got the best special illustration rare in the Greninja. I got to give it to Paldea Evolved. I think it was just such a fun set to open. The pull rates were ridiculously fun. You got sometimes 2 special illustration rares in a booster box. Ooh, it was so good. So Paldea Evolved is going to be my favorite set, best set for investment. I got to hand it to 151. I got to go with the majority crowd. I think there's just so much nostalgia and love for Pokemon, bringing it back to the originals, that 151 is going to do really good in the future. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. If you like the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel. With bell notifications on, I come out with 3 videos a week, plus some live streams and some interviews. So hopefully you're enjoying it. Until my next one, I'll catch you then. Peace!